Okay, I know that I have plenty of co-ops planned and such, but honestly, this video that I found had so many comedic jokes I want to make, and I'm not passing this up. And to start my comedic timing here, for starters, if anything is at certain comms, I usually randomize what avatars I'm going to be using for a commentary, and it landed on Jelly Jiggler. This commentary is food related. This is Bomberatsu. We're going to be covering her. Normally I would get into detail with the context, but I'm saving that for later when it becomes a problem. Otherwise, let's not waste any more time, and let's begin.
Here, let me help you check out!
Hi!
Hi! Also, I wasn't kidding when I say that this commentary is food related.
So you might be wondering, why is my avatar a bowl of spaghetti? Don't ask.
After all that time, I was trying to be nice to you by saying hello back, and you're denying my overall privilege to ask you a question? I will send you to the fiery pits of hell and have you expelled for discrimination against me being a jelly!
I just wanted to do what the commentator in question was doing with their avatar. So hi!
Them double haze though.
On the F of Commentator's commentary on Umbrus, and then this popped up on in the material chat. So here's context, and I'm actually gonna give you context with an entire chain, so bear with me.
Actually, let's not. In fact, I'm going to do your job for you, so give me a second. Tori5 made an Everything Wrong with parody on the Pokemon Generation 1 games, and then Zach Goes Red made a video responding to that. Temporal Times Commentaries did a commentary on that, then Emerald's World did a commentary on that, and then Veritas did a commentary on that. With the exception of Veritas using Katy Perry as an avatar, as this is the main focus of the discussion, ignore everything in this degree chain because they are not relevant, trust me. Also ignore Pepper Tay's degree, but do keep in mind of Umbrus's commentary as she gets on to Pepper Tay for being too preachy about the Katy Perry avatar bit. Now, for the degrees that are necessary, the Commentator did a commentary on Umbrus's commentary on that, to which Slumber slapped him on the face, Ephraim slapped back, to which Portrait God served Ephraim a nice bowl of oatmeal. And as you all know, Bomberatsu stole his meal in front of him, to which I smash a hole in the wall and yell about Aquaman for whatever reason.
Fucking Aquaman!
Now, why'd I mention this context here instead of at the beginning? Because Bomber here decides to mention everybody in this chain, not just those who also covered Veritas.
Veritas was commentated by 6 other people, including Umbrus, Beta the Human, which was a Joe commentary. I only added him because it was on the wiki and it was covered by him, so I added him onto the chain.
But also on the other side to where ShadowWolf777 did a commentary on Emerald's World 2, which resulted in Doodle and Ephraim covering that.
ShadowRuff777 isn't really important as they were only covered by Doodle Tones and Ephraim, and no one wanted to fight on that end of the stick more of Veritas since he was a bandwagon.
And I get it, this chain is a mess and a half, but some of these are not even relevant to the discussion in your own video. Like, seriously, how is Daisy's pregnancy related to the video when it wasn't even discussed?
I'm pregnant now.
Here, let me help you check out!
So Slumber did a commentary on my recent commentary on Umbrus, and well, I didn't think it was particularly good, so I'm going to cover it.
No shit. I thought you were going to cover it because it was amazing.
No context? We're just thrown into the video, which is why I decided to add context before we even began. We're not even given anything. We're just strapped in without notice.
No. Actually, I would argue that Portrait didn't need to. Ephraim gave out some of the context that Slumber did a commentary on Ephraim's commentary on Umbrus. Frankly, with how Portrait's video went, they didn't need to explain anything nor bring back any of the rest of the degree chains.
But on to what Portrait was saying, this isn't really a good point to make, as it literally adds nothing to what he was even explaining.
Even though Portrait was arguing that what Ephraim was trying to say was a no-duh statement after Ephraim stated, I had issues with this, as commentaries are mainly used to debunk and criticize, but go off.
Also, this isn't even a good point to start with. Like, okay, thank you for giving us nothing. Cool?
I mean, Portraits had more substance than you explain why it was nothing or why it wasn't a good point to start off with. I mean, you could have just argued that Portraits was nitpicking to hell and back, but no! We're not allowed to have nice things! I wanted chicken tenders and french fries, but all we got was spaghetti! I don't like spaghetti!
Stop fingering everything! I'm a child of God!
If TP really took the view of Umbrus, that being that it does matter and is worth criticizing, and not the view of people like myself and Pepper, that being it doesn't matter and isn't really worth criticizing.
Do not use real people. It is weird. For the most part, one could not give a shit about if you use people as your stills. I believe it is weird, but I won't comment on it. But if someone is using a 100-year-old political figure who is horrible, I might have problems with it. That is all I wanted to speak out.
Them double buys though.
I'm gonna play this for you since you cut him off before even making a point. I'm also gonna play the rest of what he was trying to say since you don't even try to get the context of the video.
I mean, I guess, but you can't use what—
Wait a minute. Where's Umbrus's Ephraim's first time and Slumber's point? I'd ask this because in your next point in this interjection, you say this.
Also, your point literally has nothing to do with what Ephraim was even saying. Like, how does this correlate to what he was even talking about in the first place?
And you are correct on this. Portrait is force-feeding Ephraim some oatmeal down his throat with the secret ingredient being subjective opinions. But I'd argue that adding in Umbrus's Ephraim's first time and Slumber's point in as well would have been a lot more sense since you're not leaving your audience out. No joke, I was originally going to argue that you were adding in unnecessary information again and then argue that you didn't get Portrait's point. I didn't because I reached your second point in this interjection that I had to stop myself to think, wait, what was Slumber's point in this chain? Also, as a slight nitpick, but you could have sped up your clip because it was kinda dragging your video. Anyways, I think I need to address your YouTube avatar in the room. Why are you doing a commentary on a troll? And then doing it seriously. Now, I'm not sure if you actually know this, but—
So, I think this is a joke video. But even then, this doesn't really make me laugh as much as, huh? Like, don't get me wrong, I get what you were trying to do, but their jokes come off as flat and come off as confusing. The points were either cutting big portions of the video to make a big point, or not even making a point at all. I don't have anything else, since I wanted to go a bit easier on this, but also wanted to make a point on it, since I think this is a troll, but whatever.
Oh. So you do recognize that it's a troll. Okay, well, it looks like you were just feeding a troll. How coincidental. A troll in this situation was a literal bowl of oatmeal. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do a commentary on the troll. You can do that if you have issues with the comedy aspects of it. However, with you taking their point seriously, I'm sorry, but you're doing it wrong and you're just feeding the troll unnecessarily. Anyways, what are my final thoughts? I'm gonna rate the fridge. You guys haven't quenched my hunger.
It's a long one, but okay.
A few moments later.
So, you're the one blocking the door. Oh yes, I've been waiting for you two. Who the hell are you?
I'm a Phil Glenn, John Fox, the creator of everything wrong with Ruby.
That crapfest? What the hell are you doing here anyways? Why the hell would someone claim John Fox?
Because with this Noctis computer, I can download my consciousness into the internet, force everyone to acknowledge me as the best. If they refuse, actively destroy the computers with a flick of the wrist.
But your threat is cyber-terrorism. And besides, John Fox would never do that.
But I'm not the real one, am I? I'm superior to him in every way. I will succeed, and no one will stop me.
So why are you wasting time talking to us?
Because the door is locked with the passcode, and I can't open it until I crack the code.
So we have time to stop you then.
Go ahead and try. You won't stop me.
Wanna bet?
Let's up this then. This series showcases the absolute problems of Ruby. It can't be countered. And when I unlock this door, I will kill you two before I enter it.
So, 3 commentaries then. Yep. Very well, I'll go first, then you handle the second one, then go up on the final one. Sounds like a plan. Good, because we need to stop this man at all costs. Indeed.
What was that cluster truck of an intro skit? There's little to nothing telling me, a new viewer, what is going on. I get when you have storylines, not everyone's going to know what is going on at all times because people come in at different points. But when you start off in a weird attempt at accents, and there is no context to what's going on besides it's in a hospital in Canada, you have to be conscious of new people finding your stuff and giving them something to chew on. From watching all 3 parts, you got Anubis, his dark other half or something, the creator of the material, and a 4th guy. If you want to fix this, I'd advise when you have characters talk to each other, you address them by name, like this very bare bones example. Hey Bakugo, who's that guy? Well, I don't know, Anubis. It is I, John Fox! Something to that extent so your viewers can follow along. I'm far from done though. With John's character, you keep changing the voice, then just give up. If you can't hold a certain voice, either practice the heck out of it, do a voice you can do consistently, drop doing a voice entirely, ask someone who is more well versed in voices to cameo for you, or change your voice in audio editing software like Audacity. There's a multitude of settings to help you adjust the pitch and whatnot. But if you're going to act in voiceover to begin with, can you make sure to take a Ritalin first or something? Maybe some coffee? Mountain Dew, maybe? You don't emote much, and man, you slur your words together. Enunciate. If you cannot be heard, your arguments are already at a disadvantage. And now the editing. Does your editor have no control over consistent scaling? Now, unless it's your intention, then it's just something I don't like and I'll leave it at that. But if it wasn't intentional, and this distortion is because you don't know how to properly scale in your editor, then I recommend looking up tutorials because it makes your video look way less clean. And I'm bringing this up now because this is an issue that persists through all 3 videos, and the inner editor in me is screaming into a pillow at this. Also, while your keyframing is okay, the whole video feels kinda out of sync. There are moments I liked, like with the everything wrong thumbnails popping up. Wait, that was the only thing I really liked in regards to the editing here. Anyway, we'd be here all day if I pointed out every little error, so let's move on before my inner editor explodes.
So yeah, this is John Fox. He made a rip-off of CinemaSins Everything Wrong with series, but used Ruby instead of movies. Now before anyone starts, we are aware that these videos are old. But given how this score has barely shown into improvement since this point, we think it's good enough material to reap into. Even in 2017. Now that we got that out of the way, let's begin.
So you are capable of zooming in without distorting the image. Then there is no excuse. What the frick was that intro? You are killing me! Wait.
You couldn't even do this part right, could you? Let's dissect the problems with this perverty intro, shall we? First off, the audio from the material is not synced up properly. In a CinemaSins video, the audio is played during the scene where the source material's title is used and after the with text. Jesus Christ, that is basic and you couldn't even do that right. Second of all, you don't even focus on the title for the whole intro bit. It just shows the text and then plays the rest of the intro. You couldn't have taken a screenshot while having the audio play or something? I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but when you can't even do the simplest thing in a CinemaSins parody, what does that say about the rest of the video?
Finally, on to the actual first points of the video, and oh my goodness, these are such minuscule nitpicks that don't overall affect the quality of the video. These are super small points that don't deserve this much time dedicated to them. It's like I made an Epic Rap Battles of History parody and then got everything down to a T, but then my text on screen was just a smidge to the left. Then I'd just be a fidget that doesn't understand the rule of thirds.
Narration.
Wait, that's it? Not even gonna say why it's bad? Okay. Yeah, how dare writers try to introduce the world to the audience and also explain the manpower that our characters utilize throughout the series. They're worse than Hitler. Oh, but CinemaSins says narration is seen as bad too. Yeah, and it's just as stupid when they bring it up. Your point?
Now you're in my court. If you took 2 seconds to think about why this would actually be an issue, suddenly it makes a lot of sense. Show, don't tell. Narration could be seen as a lazy way out when it comes to building a world when opening up in a movie or a show like RWBY, because you should be able to convey what you need to get across to the audience without blatantly dumping the audience with loads of exposition. Yeah, it's more work and harder to get right, but by letting the movie tell you things through setting, characters, character action, etc., it has the possibility of not only being more immersive, but also help the pacing of a movie. It also treats audiences like thinking people instead of possibly talking condescendingly to them, looking at you, lady in the water.
I said, put your hands in the air, now! This guy's a terrible thief.
Yeah, and Ruby is ruining our ears by having the music be loud enough for everyone else to hear. See? I can make substanceless complaints too. Doesn't make it okay.
I'm going to be playing a lot of devil's advocate in this commentary, aren't I? Alrighty, not so insignificant when you think about his job. He's hired Muscle to make sure Torchwick can get the dust and use force when necessary. If he's bad at his job, then that throws a wrench into the villain's plans. There's also the fact that Ruby relies on tropes and cliches, and the first season is very egregious for doing this. It's more often played straight with nothing new to keep it fresh. And the original CinemaSins, guess what gets sinned a lot? Tropes and cliches. Unlike the real Bakugo, you don't seem to have a brain.
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
Jeez, cutting me off every second? What's wrong with you? And that's because you keep making stupid points about every minor thing every few seconds.
Oh, so like you then. You're missing the point of CinemaSins. It's about nitpicking. You know, little nagging things can hamper an experience, right? There might not be a lot of major flaws, but there are so many little things that you can't just let slide that can taint an overall experience. Example, the editing in Captain America Civil War. Frequently when the scene changed to a new location, it flashed up big white text of said location, and to me, it was super jarring. Now, it didn't ruin my overall experience of the film, but if it had more little niggles like that, it would dampen the quality of the film. Basically, ants. One or two more are a problem, but get a whole nest and I'm gonna need more bug spray.
Didn't you do that earlier with the introduction? Yeah, but that doesn't disprove my point though that he's also nitpicking. Just means I'm a hypocrite. Boo-hoo.
Then maybe stop? Oh my god, acknowledging the problem doesn't make it go away. If this is amounting to little more than nitpicks, then what is the hacking point, man? Give me something more concrete. Give me a point to sink my teeth into. Stop with the double standards, you bitch!
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
I just want to be a normal girl with normal knees.
Main character wanted to be normal cliché.
You do realize that cliches became cliches because it was good enough to be copied, right? So, how is this bad? Because it's not executed well? Oh, wait, it's bad because it's overdone, that's it? Wow, what a weak and flat complaint to make.
You're basically doing this commentary for me. No, please. Keep going. You certainly don't say how this cliche was done well. Yes, cliches on their own aren't bad, but in this case, it's not utilized well because the little plot thread just kinda stops. The most it gets out of this cliche is Weiss not liking Ruby being the leader. Yes, he should be giving more of a reason for stating the cliche, but what you're doing is shoving words down his throat. Do I need to get the police on the phone again?
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
Where am I supposed to find another nice, quirky girl to talk to?
There she is.
And speaking of comedic scenes, here's another one that you take seriously.
Or, you know, well, as hard to tell as it is, he did have an upward inflection in his voice to indicate that this was more of a joke, and that this is a different issue entirely, because while the original Cinema Sins has jokes too, they're tied in with the legitimate points like 98% of the time. And assuming I am correct, because the Lord knows I could very well be wrong, this means you took his joke seriously. Great job.
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
I got my hands on some fake transcripts, and I lied.
Deacon's screening process probably needs a reworking.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. I would have never knew that without your help. Also, remember this for the next scene I'm about to play.
Yeah, he's stating the obvious, but that doesn't debunk his point. Beacon is a school for training the best. It obviously needs high standards, and that's why Jean had to fake his transcripts. So he could get in. What Fox did it is a problem.
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
Nobody saw this coming.
Nobody saw this coming. You'll see the money is...
Nope.
No personified memes for you. At least if you're going to do a meme, don't rape, you plebeian. Improper memeage is a major offense in at least 5 countries. Post Brooke coming at you with something I just realized while editing. It occurred to me that because of the please stand by screen cutting yourself off, you were potentially doing this really bad on purpose. But then what's my issue? My issue is go big or go home. Nothing's worse than mediocre bad. There's a reason so bad it's good as a term exists. If you're trying to be bad on purpose, why not play it up? Go crazy with keyframing or effects because right now you're boring me to tears.
In the first 5 seconds, we were met with obnoxiously loud music. Glad to see that in the year gap between the video and my dark side covered in this, you have learned jack shit about editing, or syncing the audio correctly.
Okay, am I losing my hearing or is Akubis here pulling something out of his butt? You don't make a note of adjusting the audio to make it more bearable in text or speaking, so... I went and checked the original video to see what you were talking about, and man, your wording is off. Did you mean that the music drowns out the sound effects? Cause if so, yeah, you aren't wrong, but you could say the volume of the music is obnoxiously loud, leading me to think that you just mean the volume, period. Revise, revise, revise.
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
I always kick my semesters off with a yang.
God damn it, Barb!
Oh my god, Yang made a pun. I better seen it. Also, random media clip in the CinemaSins ripoff. What, too lazy to make your own reaction so you had to show someone else's clip? Come on. Well, hey, it's a good thing you don't sin another pun in this.
Utter satisfaction.
Oh, come on. How is a pun a sin?
Puns can be considered a lower form of comedy, and since his sins every time there's a pun, it's not hard to assume that he wants better jokes than just puns. It's also an inside joke with Rooster Teeth, and if Ruby wants to be taken seriously, it should probably leave out all inside jokes. Answered it quite easily, I may add. Thank.
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
Not if I have anything to say about it. You clearly have control of the barrier for now. So as long as I keep blasting, you have to stand still. And the minute you slip up, it's over.
Wait, continuity error! The videos are only supposed to go away when you commentate on the video. It shouldn't just go when you haven't gotten to it yet. Jesus Christ on a bicycle, please keep things consistent!
Oh no you don't, eyes of heaven! This isn't over. I can still reach the door. Oh no you shit! I won. Don't you think you've won yet, you clone? David, we agreed we'd work together to stop this, right? That's exactly what we'll do. I may be out of power, but you're not, David. And let's work together to stop him. Right. Fine, let's end this.
So a Chaco plus Bakugo equals Todoroki? I mean, you got the fire part down, but this fusion doesn't make any sense. Anti-gravity doesn't just turn into ice? Unless this isn't a fusion, then nothing was conveyed well at all and let's just move on.
Welcome to part 3. If you haven't seen the previous parts, well, you might want to go watch them first in order to understand this crapfest. Now let's end this with Everything Wrong with Ruby, Volume 3.
I've seen the previous 2 parts, trust me, this doesn't make things any clearer.
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
Thanks to our clever little friend.
This screen implies that she's getting inside information from Ironwood, but how or why would he have access to the randomization process for the tournament?
Except, she wasn't getting the information from Ironwood directly. She hacked into Ironwood's scroll and got the stuff inside. Hell, she did before back in Volume 2 during the dance episode. And as for the tournament matchups, well, do you folks recall the scene in Volume 2 where Cinder went to that communications building? Well, it was explained that she injected a bug into said building, and that's how she was able to alter the matchups. The wording's a little vague, but clever little friend means the virus that she put into the mainframe. That's it. Especially since the Queen piece on the computer back in Volume 2 matches the one on Cinder's screen in this episode.
You see, I would give this a pass if it actually addressed his point at all. Fox was saying that Cinder's screen implies that the information regarding the matchups was from Ironwood when he actually wasn't in charge of that. He was in charge of security. Fox doesn't actually address any of the words Cinder says at all. He's strictly looking at the screen and oh look! There's Ironwood's face!
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
If Adam's goal was to destroy, why did he only cut Yang's arm off instead of, say, cut her in half?
Yang's main weapon, that she takes great pride in, mind you, is her gauntlets, which are attached to her arms. Ergo, losing one of her arms would destroy Yang.
But that's emotionally destroy. Adam's goal was to literally tear everything and everyone down. Letting Yang live does not follow his goal. If he didn't want her in the way at all, it would have been much easier to just kill her so she has no chance of coming back. But he didn't because Rooster Teeth didn't want to get rid of one of their main characters so soon. He was even willing to decapitate Blake without hesitation. Everything in his character screams that he would have killed her, but then didn't.
Also, what happened to aura and semblance? Yang's aura should have protected her. At the very least, her semblance should have kicked in before the permanent damage was done.
Oh boy, we got a gold mine here, don't we? 1. Yang had been fighting Grim and other enemies for a while prior to this scene, so she, and by extension her aura, would be weakened as a result of said fighting. It's also why she basically lost to Neo back in Volume 2. 2. Adam's semblance allows him to absorb and or block energy and redirect it at his opponents with one powerful blow. In fact, we saw that not only in the Black trailer, but earlier on when Blake was trying to attack Adam, and as shown with Adam's physique, he was barely exhausted from the fighting with Blake, so his aura and semblance would be stronger than Yang's at that point, meaning that on top of the absorbed bullets from Blake's gun, Adam could easily cut through the rest of Yang's aura and arm. Finally, 3. Much like Adam, her semblance only works if she hits an opponent. She didn't. Not even close. Even going frame by frame, there was no chance for Yang to hit him the moment he got into that stand. In fact, had Adam done nothing, she would have continued charging forward and crashed into a wall most likely. Fact is, unless Yang hits her opponent, her semblance is useless in battle, which in this case, it was.
Except this isn't how Yang's semblance works at all, dude. Her semblance grows more powerful when she is beaten down and when she gets angry, not when she hits enemies. It does not matter that she did not manage to land a hit on Adam. The thing is, she probably did have close to enough power to go toe-to-toe with Adam if he wasn't more precise with his movements and actions, and Yang being so reckless. Her passing out also prevents her from reaching full power, and Yang passed out before she could, probably from the shock or pain from getting her arm chopped off.
You've added 10,000 views to this one yourself, Izuku.
2 hours later.
I'm done.
Wow, I don't feel a thing.
Of course not. He was in your mind after all.
Oh, okay.
And this is just perfectly fine to you? Acting like this is just a walk in the park? Cause that's not how someone would logically react to something happening in their brain. Also, who is this 4th, 5th, 5th person? You say later that it's a doctor, but again with the lack of conveyance.
Well, it's over. It's finally over.
So I take it you know what happened to Damon?
Yeah, I had a feeling he would disappear. He was originally a personified memory after all, so... can you calm the funeral a little bit? I'm trying to relax.
So, what happened? I thought you reverted back to a memory. Did you forget I absorbed your from the dark side?
Okay then. Look, this shit has gone on for far too long, so can we just wrap this up?
Yeah, you guys can go home now.
Thanks, Doctor. So, how's it been in this commentary? The only way you can end any Ruby commentary. Hey, Sally, Susan, Fawn.
Later.
What? No! What did I say about Lousy Minage? And with that, Fuster Cluck, it's time for final...
Well, look, hold on. At least now I can sit back and wrap.
Addison! What are you doing here? I thought you had better standards than that! Look, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Alright, final thoughts. I skipped much more than I initially thought I would, because you actually had decent points throughout most of the videos, but then it got a bit repetitive, and honestly, you're doing very little to keep me invested. You have very few avatar images when there is no excuse, as you could easily get screen caps, and many at that. Plus, Hiroaka is very popular right now, and there's plenty of artwork of all three. This story had potential, but the numerous factors I brought up in the beginning bogged it down. And for Pete's sake, please stop mumbling. It's very rude. Now to just hang around here for a while, I guess.
My apologies in advance. This is unscripted and probably going to be widely unedited.
Oh, great! A sign that this video will be nothing but an angry mess that really should have been put in a formal, deductive manner. Lovely.
But I just wanted to say something. Respect is something that we treat every human being with, right? It's something that's expected of all of us. Whether this person has done wrong or is the most amazing person ever, we must respect them as another human being. So why is it that this shit is still going on with my good friend Icy when she has admitted that what she did was wrong, tried to apologize for it, and it keeps going? Huh?
I don't know. Honestly, at this point, you guys are the ones who keeps dragging the shit into the mud, not us. Unless you're referring to the comment section of the quad up, and to that I say, that's on them, not the people who actually covered Icy. I think we should both know that unless the content creator is outright saying to go attack someone or anything like that, it's not the creator's responsibility if their fan base starts going haywire.
This is what's wrong with this community nowadays, is that people hold on to things. They make long, unedited live streams. I am fully guilty. I'm guilty of this. And they bitch about something that's not really that big of a deal.
Wait, which community? The ranting community or the commentary community? Because let me tell you this, there's a clear difference between the ranting and commentary community. The types of videos each community makes are completely different formats, like it or not. If you're talking about the commentary community, when? Literally when? As far as I know, the only one who's made a long-ass livestream in this situation was Icy herself. I don't understand what you're going on about. Now, I don't know if that happens anymore in the ranting community, but I did know that did happen in the past, where people have done long-ass live streams and put people on blast for an hour or so. But that's the thing. It's in the past, not now. Unless you give me evidence that this does happen nowadays, I'd like for you to point that out to me if you see this, Mickey. Or anyone in the ranting community. But until then, I won't know. If you haven't noticed, making unedited videos like this really doesn't help anything in the long run. We just have to take your word on a lot of things and leave the audience in the dark. Not a good route to go with if you're trying to defend someone, might I add. Yes, I know that "give me the evidence" is an overused point, but in something as heavy as this, you need context. That's why I made that lengthy intro, to give context. Not everyone's gonna understand both sides immediately. Hell, I've even seen comments on not only your video, but Icy's videos as well, saying that they don't understand what's going on. Another thing, regarding the whole "they bitch about things that don't really matter" thing, while I can agree to an extent, look who the fuck is talking. And no, I'm not talking about Mickey's past rants. I'm talking about the video I'm commentating on right now. Because, being honest with you, Mickey, drama is nothing but people bitching about things that doesn't really matter. And yeah, you didn't make a long-ass live stream about it like Icy did, but this is still bitching. And I'm not even saying you're wrong here, Mickey. I'm honestly pointing this out because... yikes.
Yeah, Icy said some things she probably shouldn't have, but why don't you give her the chance to fix it?
We are. In fact, we're trying to help her more with these commentaries. Commentaries are made to critique and give advice on how to argue and make videos better. Point to me a video on Icy that was actually giving destructive criticism, and then we'll talk. And I'll give you a hit, Mickey. It's not the quad op.
If you have any respect for her, her content, or her friends, or her relationship, back off. Let her fix herself. Let her correct her mistakes. Hammering away at her on how much of a bitch she is because you don't like how she talks is not going to fix anything.
Who the fuck said that? Literally, who? Heaton didn't say that. AnnabethRide didn't either. Doodleton sure as hell didn't. Neither did Scarlet Otaku and 4 the other people who covered her. The criticism they were making were towards her arguments mostly. And if we're talking the arguments the quad up made production-wise, it sure as hell wasn't about how Icy talks.
Yes, I know. There's gonna be people saying I'm a white knight, I don't know what's going on. I know that she messed up. Let her fix it. Don't beat her over the head with it. That doesn't help anything.
Great! You know she messed up! That's 1 level higher than most white knights! You want a cookie?
I'm saying this as an outside party. Someone who was not involved until now. Stop it.
And stopping you right there. Speaking as someone who's in the outside group as well, you don't really know much aside from what Icy told you. You are her friend, and Icy could have easily misinterpreted what the quad up and the others said. You need to know both sides of the argument before you even start getting involved in it. So, I'm about done with this video, and I'm gonna give my final thoughts. Mickey, you're someone I've personally known for years. I've seen your rants, and at the time I thought they stood up pretty well. However, this kinda made me lose a little respect for you. You're blindly defending Icy without even knowing the other side, and it clearly shows. You don't even know what's going on in either community, whether it's the ranting community or the commentary community, and didn't provide proof for your claims. However, the one thing I'm a bit perturbed by is the fact that you're not moving on about the situation when literally everyone else has. This shows to me that, yes, you are a white knight. I don't care if you knew she messed up. That's not the only thing that makes a white knight. You can still say, oh yeah, I know she messed up, but leave her alone, bleh, and be a white knight. Look, I'm not making this video out of spite. I mean no ill will towards you in the slightest. If it seems like that, I'm really sorry. Just know it wasn't my intent to do so. I wish you luck in your future endeavors, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
How's it going, everybody? It is Josh Thomas here from the Bit Block, and I'm going to be sitting down here and very casually going over a few complaints that I have heard about the Nintendo Switch that I personally don't really agree with. So this is kind of me responding to the criticisms that the Nintendo Switch presentation, or just the Nintendo Switch in general, has received. I want to point out right off the bat, if you are new here, I think there are plenty of people that can inform you I am not a fanboy of Nintendo's. I've had many complaints about Nintendo's in the past. I am personally very excited about the Switch. I think it's going to be amazing, and I think in a couple years from now it's going to be doing really well. I think it's going to be doing really well, like, even at the launch. Yeah, I just think that there are some complaints that people like to throw at Nintendo that I don't agree with, and I don't think they're fair, so I'm not going to take it anymore, and I'm going to defend Nintendo.
Okay, that's all fine and dandy. However, the whole unscripted thing kinda bugs me. Now, I'm not gonna make it a law that you must use a script when making a video, since some people have done well without one. Where I feel the line should be drawn is where you're presenting an argument against several people who either have done some research on the topic in hand, or can organize their points better. In this kind of situation, it makes more sense to write down a few bullet points ahead of time, especially since you're going against Boogie2988, Jim Sterling, and Review Tech USA, where 2 out of those 3 I can confirm have scripted their videos prior to hitting record.
Okay, so first of all, the one thing that I actually am very surprised to see people sort of complaining about is the price. So in case you don't know, for some weird reason, the Nintendo Switch is going to retail on March 3rd, that's when it launches, for $299.99. So essentially $300 here in North America. There are somehow people who think that is overpriced. I don't really get it, because, you know, what bothers me is, and a lot of them are saying, like, I wish it was $250. That's what they wanted it to be. That's what they assumed it would be. It's not that, so they're upset. I think $300 is about as expensive as they could have made it. You kind of want to stay mainstream in a way, and I think $300 still is that. You know, what bothers me is there's a lot of people that are like, I want Nintendo to be competitive with Xbox and PlayStation. And it's like, you want them to be competitive with them, but then anytime Nintendo prices their machine in a way to where they can maybe be competitive with them as far as, like, horsepower and as far as the capabilities of the system, you complain. And what other, you know, what I don't understand is it's like, if a Nintendo machine is $300, that's overpriced, yet if an Xbox and a PlayStation is $300 or $350, that's not overpriced? Because that's pretty much what those consoles launched for, and I don't think anybody was complaining that it's overpriced.
Here's the thing, people have been complaining because that $300 is not paying for better visuals or frame rates, but for the motion controls built in. There is also the fact that Nintendo is advertising the console for the 3DS's audience, but the system isn't accommodating for the price tag that audience is willing to pay for. Let me put things into perspective. The 3DS started selling well after Nintendo lowered the price from $250 to $160, and it sold even better with the alternative models like the 3DS XL and the 2DS. There's also the price for alternate controllers, accessories, and docks, which are more expensive than most accessories on the market.
And I know people are going to be like, well, it's not overpriced because traditionally the Xbox and the PlayStation, those are systems that have a lot of power behind them, a lot of horsepower. Everybody turns into Tim Allen all of a sudden when it comes to talking about video game machines. And we'll talk about this technical spec thing a little bit later because I got some stuff to say about that. Nintendo gives you value in different ways. Microsoft and Sony, they like to give you value as far as like, ooh, it's got the cutting edge processor thing chip. Whereas Nintendo's like, hey, you know, it's a pretty darn good capable system, but it's also got a lot of fun things with it. Nintendo's like the only video game console anymore, they're the only video game maker anymore that actually wants to kind of like find new ways to have fun with a game, with a controller. And I think that is just so crucial and so important when it comes to video games. Like, why do you want everything to just be so stagnant? Why do you want everything to just be a normal controller? And I don't even like calling it a normal controller. It's more of like a classic controller. Yeah, this works really well in some cases. And so does this. This is really fun. And so is this. Like, video games, you have to stop thinking video games are all this. Because that's stupid, that's closed-minded, and this always isn't the most fun way of doing something.
Ignoring the part where you don't do the motion for a mouse and keyboard, you peasant. Here's the problem. This is standard. The reason why people are complaining is that what you're referring to as boring has a 100% success rate in the hardware department, as opposed to making a mistake because the motion control misread your movement. If a developer messes up the controls on a standard controller, it's because they were being lazy, not because they couldn't program around a control scheme with a noticeable failure ratio, even if it is just by a little.
So what I'm getting at is Nintendo gives you value for the $300 price tag by giving you a really cool HD rumble feature in both of the controllers. I think it's in both of them.
Man, this unscripted format is really serving you well if you can't confirm one of the basic features of the system.
You know, being able to actually feel glass pouring into, or water pouring into a glass in your hand, that could be pretty damn cool. And that kind of detailed rumble could be something that does enhance your game experience. I mean, just basic rumble does make you feel better when you're playing a game. Like when you get hit and you feel that, that's pretty cool. So having a better version of that, I'm okay with paying a little bit more for that.
Okay, more detailed rumble. Nice. But will developers use it? The answer most likely is that Nintendo themselves will use it, a few third-party devs will shoehorn a gimmicky part of the game that will not be missed if it gets re-released on a different platform, and it will be forgotten when Nintendo breaks out the big titles that don't use them. In fact, here's a little thought experiment. Look at the biggest games on the Wii U and 3DS, and find how many use a majority of the gimmicks.
Something that I think is weird, but a lot of people were complaining about the price, and for some reason, they all just think like, I think it's too much for Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo should be $300. Why? Why is Nintendo the system that has to be like dirt cheap, yet you still want it to be... You still want it to compete with the high-tech system somehow? Like, you want all these third-party support and all that, yet you don't want it to be expensive in order to be able to get those? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Mostly because I've never heard people complain about this. Nor do you point in the direction of someone who is making this complaint. Keep in mind, Josh will bring up the Three Stooges later when pointing out their complaints, but a few times in the video, he makes a claim with no proof and some cynical asshole can waltz on in here and then call your statement complete bullshit. As for the point you brought up, I'm just gonna assume that you took two arguments, the console is underpowered, and it's overpriced, and due to a nasty side effect of doing this unscripted, you combine the two together to make an easy argument to debunk, albeit unintentionally.
But motion control can be used as a main way to play a game, like Wii Sports, Resort, or maybe 1-2 Switch and stuff like that, to where it's like the whole game is really built around the motion control. Zack and Wiki, Red Steel 2, to name a couple of them, Boom Blocks. There have been many games in the past that are fantastic games, and it is because of the motion control.
No, those great games were great because some talented people wanted to make an interesting title using the motion controls, and the publishers saw dollar signs from all the Wii units sold. That doesn't undo the fact that these games were good, but had Nintendo not printed money with Wii Sports, these titles would never be made. Not to mention, those great controlling Wii games are seen as the exception to the mountain of shovelware that controlled like crap. Oh, also, I love how you never brought up the Wii U. You know, the system whose motion controls were not implemented the best by third parties, and in one case, a first-party game.
And for first-person shooters, I can't go back to playing a first-person shooter like this. It seems clunky and slow. Being able to literally pinpoint where I want to shoot and all that, this is the way to play a first-person shooter as far as I'm concerned.
Which is why the mouse and keyboard are never acknowledged even though it fits your description word for word. Oh, and before anyone gets on my case, the PC market has become as accessible as any of the three consoles, so I feel ignoring it seems to be pointless, especially since a point in the Switch's favor could be its ability to be the companion to PC gaming, as opposed to a direct competitor like the PS4 and Xbox One.
New ways to play video games and exploring those pastures and constantly pushing forward with that is very important. So whenever I hear people say how the Joy-Con controller can use HD haptic feedback to provide the feel of a drink and ice cubes being inside of it, why? I don't know. Motion controls. I don't know why they still think we want motion controls. The downplay of the initial Switch sales pitch in favor of making another gimmick-laden waggle festival.
Nintendo, no one cares about any of this motion shit. They stopped giving a shit about this kind of games with the Wii!
It kind of annoys me. Because it's really self-indulgent. You're living in a bubble. You're assuming that because you don't like motion controls, nobody else does. And you're thinking, motion controls were introduced in 2006. It's 2017. Let's get rid of them. They're old now.
First of all, thank you for using a live reaction from Review Tech USA. You know, the on-the-nose immediate reaction. You know, the type that's ill-informed and off the top of his head. You know, hypothetically, if he calmed his man-tits and thought about it for a moment, he might generate a more informed opinion on it. Also regarding Boogie, he was arguing that the show could have spent more time on specs and such, as opposed to the little gimmicks that might not matter in the long run. As for Sterling, you took him out of context. He was arguing that the Switch's massive selling point, that being portability, would make more sense to emphasize as opposed to showing the tricks used for the Wii for a third time in a row. I don't necessarily agree with these ideas, but their points have some level of justification, since specs will allow the consumer to hypothetically know how powerful the system would be. And due to the mountains of shovelware, motion controls have lost the magic originally shown. This was the most amount of proof you had, and you f***ed it up.
Well, just like anything, motion controls have made advancements, and I'm willing to bet that the Joy-Cons have even more precise motion control. And yeah, I mean, look at the old controller, look at the NES controller, look at the Super Nintendo controller, the N64, the GameCube. All of Nintendo's controllers have always pushed forward with new ideas. You know, back in the day, the NES controller was really weird. Like, before the NES controller, you would play, I'll use this Link as an example, this Link amiibo, but it was just like a little knob, and you'd do this, and there was like one button on an Atari or whatever. That's what the standard controller was, and then Nintendo came along, and they had the NES thing, and they had buttons and a D-pad and stuff. And you had two-player support, and you had, like, Nintendo has always been about pushing the boundaries with what can be done with a controller. I have no idea how there's so many people that are like, I grew up with Nintendo, I love Nintendo, man, but they gotta stop with these wacky new controllers. What? If you really grew up with Nintendo, you gotta stop and realize that those things you were using to play on the Super Nintendo and the N64, those were very weird and revolutionary for their time, and they became standard.
Okay, first, Atari had two-player co-op. Hell, the Pong machines were built around the idea of two players competing against each other. Second, a decent chunk of what you said isn't necessarily wrong, but the main controllers that you show, you know, these, were built based on the limitations of its predecessors, as well as adding a button not being as controversial since, at worst, it would just go unused. The Wii was going in a different direction from the rest of the industry by using motion controls, and it did well. But like the 3D feature on the 3DS, it was a novelty when it came out and was abandoned by the majority of the industry later down the line.
And I got bad news for you, great news for me, and millions of others. Motion controls are a new form of standard. They're not the standard, but they are a standard, and they're not going anywhere, and thank God for that, because I want Wii Sports Resort 2, I want a new Boom Blocks type game, I want a Zack and Wiki type game, I want all those fun games, and I want games that I just control normal.
Okay, but will the
games that I just control normal
be the standard for most Switch games? What if hypothetically a major Nintendo IP had a new game that forced motion controls down everyone's throat and was hated for it?
To say that you're surprised that Nintendo put motion controls in these things is really weird to me. Because, you know, I mean, there's no sign that people don't want motion control games anymore. Like, what motion control game came out that failed?
like recently, like with Wii U. There weren't really a lot of motion control games on the Wii U.
And at that part of the video, he was just ignoring me as if I wasn't even there. What's happening, Doc? Am I ugly? Does Josh hate me and just refuses to speak about me?
Well, Star Fox, this is an uneducated guess, but I think this BitBlock fellow refuses to acknowledge your existence because he either wants people to blindly believe him, or his desire to avoid scripting made it never occur to him that Star Fox Zero had tainted the idea of motion controls and gimmicks in general in the eyes of the consumers everywhere. But again, that's only a guess on my part.
Why guess? Don't you have a degree?
No, I'm not a doctor. I just broke in here and was posing as one.
What?
The part that really makes me raise an eyebrow is that he, ironically mind you, reviewed Star Fox Zero, so I wonder, why ignore it?
So yeah, I'm very pro motion control, and it's always annoying to me when people are like, I can't believe... I mean, when you first saw the Switch, because people were like, man, I didn't think they were going to do motion controls. When I first saw that reveal, I was like, okay, good, Nintendo's not doing motion controls anymore. And now I'm surprised that they are. When you saw them pull those two pieces of the controller off of the thing, you didn't think, oh, there's the new Wii Remote and Nunchuck? Like, did you really think these things weren't going to be motion controls? Like, how did you not see it coming?
Oh, I don't know. The fact that every game shown in the trailer was using buttons to control them? Hell, there were two parts where people were using the Joy-Cons as NES-style controllers. It's kinda hard not to assume it would be the standard-ish controls from the very beginning.
So next up, I talked about this a little bit when I mentioned the technical specs. One of the things I keep hearing people say, and it boggles my mind, which is easy to do because there's not a lot of stuff up here. There's just a lot of hair, a lot of blonde hair that I try to maintain in a hat right now. But people are really surprised that on stage Nintendo wasn't like, and here's a detailed analysis of all the technical specs behind the Switch. When has Nintendo ever done that? Nintendo's never been about the technical specs. They've never been like, hey, let's detail the tech specs to these people. Oh, it's got this type of a processor and this kind of a chip. You know when we're going to learn about the specs of the Switch? When somebody buys one and opens it up and then says what it is on the internet. Nintendo never comes out and says, this is what our system is. That's not a Nintendo thing to do.
Seriously? Why the f*** would anyone buy a device without knowing what's in the box? Because Nintendo made it? Well, if that's the case, then you have a low standard for the fandom you belong to. As for the it's not a Nintendo thing to do, well, making a device region-free using a universal charging cable for the Switch and including voice chat were not Nintendo things to do, but they did it anyway. So why stop there?
They're not really going to brag about their hardware and their techs and all that. They'll brag about the controllers and stuff.
Right, which is why the N64 was a powerhouse for the time, and prior to the original Xbox, the GameCube was leading in graphics. Nintendo only did the whole bragging about the controls when the Wii came out, and even then, they backpedaled with the Wii U, showing core titles like Metro Last Light running on the system.
And then finally, this one I might take a little bit of crap for, but I gotta say it. A lot of people always talk about third-party support when it comes to Nintendo. That's the most talked about thing, especially with the Switch. They're always talking about oh man, I've heard people say
we're also dropping third-party support. You know, apart from a few games like FIFA and Rayman, you're still not gonna be able to get anymore.
Which is a little weird to me, because here's the deal: aside from the NES and the Super Nintendo, third parties have abandoned Nintendo. They've not been with Nintendo for a long, long time. And it's true that we do get third-party games every generation, but as soon as competition came along, third parties moved over to Sega, they moved over to Sony. It's just not Nintendo's strength to have a lot of third-party games.
So you're acknowledging the fact that Nintendo has problems with getting good third-party games, and you're purposefully ignoring it. Wow. Okay, good luck trying to prove yourself in any future videos with that mentality.
So I don't understand why people don't just grasp this already. Get it through your head. Nintendo's console is never going to be the go-to console for third-party support. For a variety of reasons. For one thing, it's not going to sell as well. Doom, and all those kinds of games, like Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, all those more core, gritty, realistic games, they're not going to sell as well on a Nintendo system. And I know you could say, well, the reason for that is because every time they make them, the Nintendo version is gimped in some way or it's late. And that's a legitimate complaint, that's a legitimate argument. But I think even if they weren't, even if it was the exact same thing, Nintendo's version would still be the weakest sales. And third parties would eventually say, why are we supporting the Switch? It's always the version that has the least amount of sales. Let's just focus on PC, Xbox, and the PlayStation.
Again, you're acknowledging that there's a problem, but you're not disproving it. In fact, you're justifying why the Switch will never get any of the major games people buy on the other platforms. And after the point I cut off, you bring up Nintendo's first-party IPs. While not wrong, you forget that not every customer will buy all of Nintendo's games. Some want FIFA, Madden, Skylanders, Call of Duty, etc. And the fact that Nintendo might not consistently get these games would make the average Joe wonder, what's the point when the other platforms have all those games, and more?
I will say this. This is one of the things that annoys me. Why is it that Nintendo always gets so much crap for not having the hardcore third-party games, right? That's something we all have heard time and time again, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe Nintendo needs it, I don't think they do, but Nintendo always gets so much crap for that, and it's always such a topic of conversation, but nobody ever talks about how the Xbox does not have a lot of family-friendly games. Nobody ever says, where's the Xbox's version of Mario? Where's the Xbox's party games? I mean, there's a few because of Kinect, but there's not a lot of them.
Minecraft? Look, from this video I understand that you've been ignoring the entire industry outside of Nintendo, but how are you not aware of the popularity of Minecraft with the kids? What about Rare? And as for the other examples, Halo seems to fit the play with your friends crowd that you seem to be obsessing over. Just because it doesn't fit what you'd break out at a get-together, that doesn't mean that it should be ignored.
Where's the Xbox's version of Mario Kart, or like a Metroid type game? Where's any of the first party stuff on the Xbox or the PlayStation? Because it's not really that much.
Really? Really? Look, I could buy the complaints towards Microsoft since their non-Halo IPs are getting killed off by the second, but Sony? There's plenty of first-party exclusives to justify their glorified paperweight. Bloodborne, Infamous Second Son, all the Uncharted games, the definitive port of The Last of Us, Little Big Planet 3, Gravity Rush, Tearaway Unfolded. See, I can list off a bunch of games to sound smart, and in this case, I can back up my point since they're all diverse enough to accommodate a wide enough audience. And none of those games were made at the expense of third parties.
Or having enough variety. I mean, the Xbox is really mostly catered to a hardcore demographic, and they have very little in the way of a more casual, lighthearted experience. Why is that okay? Why is that okay, but Nintendo not having a lot of bloody, gritty, hardcore M-rated games, that's not okay. Nintendo needs to get that.
Well, for one, the audience of those hardcore, gritty games can appeal to adults who want that type of experience and refuse to play something like Mario Kart. 2, these type of gamers play for longer periods of time, thus justifying their purchase. Destiny's install base is a thing after all. And 3, it'll show that Nintendo would have variety, especially since people can buy Skylanders and other types of kids games on their Xbox and PlayStation, whereas Nintendo tends to exclusively make kiddie-looking games with their M-rated titles being the exception. I doubt you or I agree, but this is what the average consumer tends to buy if sales for these games can be used as a trusted source.
Wanting Nintendo to have these big hardcore games, to me, is like saying, why doesn't Disney have a lot of movies where, you know, it's a horror film with a lot of blood and guts? Because that's not what Disney specializes in, for the same way that's not what Nintendo specializes in.
No, this is bullshit land. Josh can ignore reality to make his nonsensical arguments all he wants. Get those stupid facts out of here. Also, Bayonetta's on the Wii U, and Fire Emblem Fates was aimed more at older teenagers with its fan service. Get good.
But I'm gonna ask you this. How many third-party games do you actually buy on the Nintendo consoles? Probably not a lot. And you could say, well, it's because there's not a lot of them on there, but I don't think you don't buy them. We don't buy them. Let's be honest. Nintendo fans, let's come clean. We're buying the Switch because we want Animal Crossing, we want Metroid, we want The Legend of Zelda, we want all the Nintendo stuff. That's why we're buying it. That's where all of our majority of our money is going to go. And very rarely do we sneak out beyond the Nintendo pastures to see what's going on elsewhere.
Wow. Projection much? Look, outside of justifying why third parties should never even look at the Switch, let alone put games on it, you're using your buying habits specifically to make this claim. Also, hi Rayman Legends controversy. You know, the game that a lot of people bought a Wii U for and were collectively pissed when Ubisoft delayed it to make it multi-platform. How are you doing?
I don't think all this stuff about third parties needing to be on the system is really all that true. It'll be good if it happens, and Nintendo should try to get it to happen, but it's not going to be doom or gloom for Nintendo.
So Nintendo should get third-party support. It would be a good thing even if it gets third-party support, but they don't need third-party support, even though that's what led to the Wii U's downfall. What? Okay, now this would be the point where I'd go into final thoughts, but Josh made a follow-up video. And somehow it's much worse. How? Well, after watching all the strawmanning ahead, I can take the not a fanboy spiel and throw it out the window. Don't believe me?
The Switch is going to fail because there's no third-party support!
No. Okay, how old are you? Seriously, you can't make this shit up. A grown-ass man-child defends a soulless corporation from all the voices of dissent using a shitty Waluigi impression. Look, there's nothing wrong with having a sense of humor, but I honestly can't see this as anything more than strawmanning, since all these realistic issues people have with the Switch are being treated as if only haters of Nintendo would say this. And really, the only thing this BS accomplishes is that it potentially avoids the negative feedback from all the fans of YouTubers that you're calling out by making a faceless opponent to fight against, as seen by the lower number of dislikes.
How am I supposed to enjoy the games if they're not in the 4K? 1080p? What is it, 1998? I need the 4K gaming!
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people don't really own 4K TVs right now. And sure, in the future, maybe they will, they probably will, but it's not really a mainstream thing right now. Most people have a TV that is capable of 1080p. And so I don't think it's something Nintendo needs to rush into.
Let's just assume that the amount of people that own 4K TVs are even smaller than the group of people that own a Wii U. This still doesn't debunk your strawman's point. In fact, you debunk your own point by bringing up how 4K TVs are currently on the market, making all the complaints about how the Switch is underpowered and unable to output in 4K more valid. Also, let's look at Sony with the PS2 having a DVD drive while DVD players were still new, and the PS3 doing the same thing for Blu-rays, or Microsoft with Xbox Live being a console that justified online gaming outside of the PC market. Or hell, the PS4 Pro and Project Scorpio with gaming in 4K. Why is it that Sony and Microsoft can embrace new tech and strike while the iron is hot, but Nintendo can't? All you've proven here is that Nintendo will release an outdated piece of hardware onto the console market. Again.
But there is a patent from Nintendo essentially showing off an extra little box device that you would plug into the Switch dock, which would make it possible for the Switch to output in a 4K resolution.
That is a f***ing rumor. Nintendo makes patents for shit all the time. That doesn't confirm anything. If you need a rumor to defend the Switch, then all this shows is that your arguments are dead on arrival. Oh, and if someone's thinking that this rumor is from a trusted source, I wouldn't know since he doesn't link any of the sources in the description of either video, despite the claim here being so ridiculous that it needs something to back it up.
So yeah, the battery is a little minimal, obviously. It's, you know, Nintendo said anywhere from 3 to 6 hours or 3 to 5.5 hours, something like that. And it's gonna depend on what kind of game you're playing. I think there is a solution to this, honestly. You can get an external battery pack that you just have previously charged when the Switch is about to die, when you're out and about playing, you're on an airplane, maybe the Switch battery's almost gonna die. Just plug in that external battery pack and you'll get hours more of enjoyment out of your Switch on the go.
That doesn't undo the fact that the Switch's battery is useless on long trips, unlike, say, the 3DS XL, and the fact that Nintendo has shown people going on long trips in the ads for the system, making those ads misleading. You then go on to compare this to charging a smartphone, but here's the thing. That's a smartphone, a device that will use multiple apps that collectively will burn out the battery fast, compared to the Switch, which can only do one task, that being play video games, and burns out fast by default.
I just bought a brand new Nintendo Switch. I'm gonna play a game. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't even come with a packing game. Even the Wii, which was a console for babies and grandmas, came in with a packing game. How is there no packing game?
So I have actually done a little bit of investigating, and the Nintendo Wii U, the Wii U system, actually cost $350. But that was cool because it came with a pack-in game, to Nintendo Land. I almost said Nintendo World because I'm thinking about the theme park, the actual theme park. But Nintendo Land came packed in with the Wii U. But what people fail to realize is the Wii U was $350, and you got Nintendo Land. The Switch is $300, you don't get a pack-in, but you can buy a game for $50, 1-2 Switch, and so it'd bring the price to the same price as the Wii U. So I don't really know why so many people are calling out the fact that it doesn't have a pack-in game. If you want to spend an extra $50, you'll get the pack-in game, just like you did for the Wii U.
This makes no sense. Your strawman brought up a pack-in game for the Wii, that being Wii Sports, and you bring up the Wii U, a console that by many, including Nintendo, to be a financial bomb. Oh, and the Wii U with 32 gigabytes of internal memory was originally sold for $350 without a pack-in game. That might sound like a point in the Switch's favor, with it being cheaper compared to the Wii U, but unless you're into party games, launch titles like 1-2 Switch will be bargain bin fodder at best.
Complain about, but I do agree that in the holiday season of 2017, I think Nintendo needs to pack in 1-2 Switch for free, and I think they will do it.
Okay, ignoring the fact that you proved your straw man right with the lack of a pack-in game not being a good thing, you're using your gut feeling to prove that 1-2 Switch will be a pack-in game during the holidays. What? Is confirmation of anything considered illegal now, or am I just losing my mind?
I mean, you know, part of me thinks, yeah, Nintendo should have that game as well, but then another part of me thinks, I don't know, I don't really buy a Nintendo system to play a game that's available on like 5 other platforms. I don't really know why you need to have all these third-party games available on every system. Like, if you already own an Xbox, or you already own a PlayStation, or already have like Steam on your PC, why is it so important to also be able to get that game on the Switch?
Because not everyone can own all 4 platforms. Why do you think that third-party exclusives get so much of a bad rap? If you can only afford one platform, why invest in a system that goes against your standing as a consumer since you won't get the most bang for your buck? Just wondering, are you paid by Nintendo? Because if so, then it's illegal to not clear that up in the beginning of the video. I ask because no sane human being of their own volition would argue that having more games to choose from is a bad thing.
What I want from third parties are original games made exclusively for the Switch.
So, no games at all, okay? Seriously though, unless you're going with a super low budget efforts from third-party devs, the Switch will get nothing since more platforms increase the sources of income. Yes, there were some third-party exclusives shown off, but how long until these games go multiplat? The cynical part of me is seeing another Rayman Legends situation in the near future.
I need to pay an extra $90 for a dock so I can play my Switch in another room. Oh, I have my Switch in the living room. Now I want to play the Switch in my bedroom. But I gotta unplug the whole thing to bring it in, or I have to pay $90 for a dock? I'm not made of money. I'm made of blood and guts, not the money.
So this is a weird complaint that I've heard people use. A lot of people are like, oh my god.
No. The Switch is marketed as a portable device that you can take anywhere. Of course people would want an extra dock, just in case the TV that they're using is taken up, and the fact that it's almost $100 is egregious. You then go on to make a PS4 and Xbox One comparison, but those two are not marketed for portability, unlike the Switch. This was an incredibly dumb argument, and all pretenses that you're not a fanboy go from out the fucking window into the depths of space, never to be seen again. The last few points were already tackled in the earlier video, so final thoughts. Look, I'm all for looking at things with a glass half full perspective. After all, too much cynicism can be a bad thing. But what you did in both videos was fanboying to a ridiculous degree. Nintendo made many mistakes over the last few years, and people are rightfully approaching the Switch with skepticism. Do I think that the Nintendo Switch will fail? No. Mostly because I can see the gimmick of taking a console experience on the go resonating with a lot of people, and the biggest names for the Wii U will be on the Switch within the first year. That and, Pokemon Stars. That's a thing. I also want to address the comment that you pinned on the top of your second video. To paraphrase, you were tough on Nintendo during the Wii U era, but you were more lenient in the Switch era, only to still get negative feedback. I can't speak for your Wii U related videos since I'm not going to go through all of them, but from these two videos, all I can say is that ignoring basic problems with the console is still an issue on your part, since it seems like all Nintendo has to do is one thing right and all their faults disappear miraculously. The Switch isn't perfect, and I doubt Breath of the Wild alone will keep the console afloat forever. Here's some food for thought. What caused the Switch to do well in marketing, and include good features like USB-C outlets, was because of all the criticism the Big N was getting. So you telling people to stop criticizing will only lead to a complacent company. Kinda like Nintendo when they released the Wii U. With all that said, I'm signing out.
Hello there everyone and welcome. My name is 8363MTR, here to kick some ass because I got your back.
This is the Renegade Master and I am signing in. Wait, that doesn't sound right.
Hey guys, this is Autumn here, and wait, this isn't my channel. I'm AnnabethRide, but call me Brooke, and today we're covering a video called Top 5 Worst Videos by Great YouTubers. It's a doozy.
The person who made this video in question was SuperHatman15, someone who mainly does animation videos, plush videos, gameplay, and the occasional countdown here and there.
So with all this said, let's take a look.
Hey, that's my line, you bitch.
Alright, might as well acknowledge the elephant in the room. Yes, both the footage and music are being recorded using a phone.
In fact, spoilers! This actually happens throughout most of the video. I mean, it just seems like as if you have an iPad or a computer/laptop, so why not actually use those devices instead for your video? Hell, you can use KeepFit or any other video downloading sites to make your video look more appealing than just you recording it with a phone. Hell, you have annotations within your video, which means that you actually have a computer/laptop in hand. So why not add it on your laptop/computer instead?
There are plenty of free apps if you're stuck with the iPhone and iPad, and it'll up your quality by a huge degree.
Also, the clips in the intro are so random at times. First it goes to Sonic, which somewhat fits with the music you play, then all of a sudden, Angry Birds, then back to Sonic, and you didn't even add the second bit out, that's from the actual bit from the Sonic X intro. Then the poor Kirby trying to get up when he's injured! Someone call ASPCA, guys! Then whoosh! There goes Mario. You're too slow if you didn't even see him pass by. And then finally Sonic. Then music oddly stops and there's a literal stick in the intro card. Wow, that went down the drain.
Also, the intro is mostly Sonic footage. I guess you like Sonic a lot, but it makes no sense why there's more clips of Sonic X than any other show. I guess the saying still holds true, Sega does what Nintendo don't. But jokes aside, even for a video made in Movie Maker, this intro is terrible.
Well, you know what, Renegade? Your face is terrible.
Roasted!
Yeah? Well, you know what? Anime is trash.
Well, at least I don't suck.
And I'm a freaking fish that can send 1 billion spears through your freaking body!
I'm a jelly.
Most of the time, these YouTubers are freaking awesome. But during these videos, they've definitely lost their mind.
Can't beat me! Hey, man. Hey, guys! Oh, hey, dude. Yeah, hey, Jenny, where's the 3DS? Oh, dude, I'm ready to play you some Super Smash Bros. Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna play you some Super Smash.
Welcome to another Super Happy F15 countdown, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 5 worst videos of great YouTube channels. For this list, we're going to be talking about videos from my favorite YouTube channels. It could be one that I'm subscribed to. It could even be one from my top 10 YouTube channels list. If you want to check that out, links will be in the description.
Shameless plug! By the way, this video is sponsored by Apple.
Renegade, no! We're not selling out so quickly!
I'm sorry. You were saying something while I was selling my soul to the big corporate giants?
No! I'm an Android user!
But seriously, though, whoops-a-daisy, you forgot to link your video in the description. It's important that when you say something in a video, you follow up, especially when it's a link to something. Everyone makes mistakes, just remember for next time.
Also, from your favorite channels? What about my favorite channels? What about Renegades? Or Brooks? Or MCRs? So many questions, not enough time!
So anyway, get ready to have your eyes bulged out. Well, from watching these pieces of garbage. I mean, seriously, what are these pieces of garbage doing in the gold mine?
Mumbler says what? No, seriously, what did you say? Honestly though, you really mumble a lot, as well as having some unnecessary pauses. Honestly, if you can't edit the pauses out, then at least what you could have done is do some retakes until you get it perfectly. In fact, question, did you even have a script to begin with? If not, then that's not really shocking to begin with, but at least maybe drop down some bullet points, or a picture, or interpreted dancing.
Or MTR's internet history.
Wait, no, don't!
What are you saying? Do you want to go to Kill Land?
You guys are great, keep going.
In short, script your videos. The stuttering and random pauses throughout this video is proof that words on a paper will be your best friend.
Number 5.
These number transitions take much longer than it needs to show a number on a screen. I mean, 16 seconds? Who needs that long to read 2 characters on a screen?
Not me! Oh, actually, wait, keep it going. I need to find that Keemstar popcorn, actually.
Want some of mine?
Actually, yours is better. I like mine cancer flavored.
Also, yay, white noise and audio balancing issues!
My favorite!
SMG4 Castle Royale. Now this is a very, very boring video. This is out of all—
Yeah, it's totally boring. Can't you tell by the clips I'm showing you guys? Also, you hear this word boring? This is the word you're gonna hear for the rest of the video, and you never explain why.
Who is this guy? What does he do? What kind of videos does he make? Am I dead?
Yes. Welcome to hell.
But I believe Jesus died for our sins. I can't be in hell.
Watching this video is a sin. Also, this video does not contain a single lap dance. In fact, our video does not contain a lap dance.
Yet.
And this one wastes the most time we've ever had. This one wastes more time, considering that this freaking video is 11 minutes long.
11 minutes is too long? I looked at the other videos this creator has made and the average length is about 8 minutes. So 3 minutes longer is too long? How short is your attention span? This comes up later, but the length shouldn't matter if it's paced well. But you don't mention pacing at all, just that it's boring and the jokes are dumb.
Also, your video is 17 minutes long and paced horribly. So I guess you're admitting that this video is abysmal? Well, that was real easy. Guys, we're clocking out early.
Shit already? About fucking time?
Nope, you're staying right here. Look at the timestamp.
I'll say something then. There's also the fact that you know how to edit footage and you leave out the parts of the video that are insane with how much content there is on screen, unintentionally and artificially trying to strengthen your argument, and that is lying to the audience.
You did not say the word something. You lied to me.
The reason this is high on the list is because I would really expect this from SMG4 in the modern days, considering that modern SMG4 is just very, very boring.
So, what's the overall part with how you thought that SMG4 is becoming more boring within each recent video? Why do you still consider him as one of your favorite YouTubers? In your top 10 favorite YouTubers list, you stated that you only like their stuff for their classic content, but not really for their recent content. In most circumstances, this would actually be a turnoff.
Also, it's high up on the list. It's on the freaking bottom. Was this supposed to be a top 10 at some point? Cause if that's the case, well, we better relocate to the Fallout shelter. Come on guys, the bonds will drop soon. There's nothing worth saving here.
Oh, I have an idea.
No, we're not playing your long-ass tedious transition. Instead, we're going to place in some fart noise. Oh, and by the way, he does place in one disclaimer, so we'll include that into word-to-word at the bottom of the transition.
Super Mario Logan Chef PP Quits Part 1. This video is all dedicated to Chef PP torture.
Thanks for not introducing us to the YouTuber. Again.
Look, I understand that some of the YouTubers that you mentioned are popular, but considering the fact that all of us here have not even heard of at least one YouTuber at all, you don't really do a good job explaining who these YouTubers are, or even what kind of videos they make, really.
And you know, Chef PP torture is not funny. In fact, it's one of the main reasons why a lot of people do not like Chef PP.
Wouldn't we be sympathetic to Chef PP as he's played off as a sympathetic character in this video? Why would him being tortured make the audience hate him? I totally understand not liking torture porn, but you don't elaborate.
Or unless you're a masochist and you enjoy watching people squirm and suffer in fear. What, never heard S&M? I'll show ya!
Oh god damn it!
And you know what? This isn't really funny. And you know what? It's another reason why people don't like Bowser. It's another reason why people don't like Junior. And you know what? Junior and Bowser are just so unlikable in this video. The both of them are just torturing and just trying to torture Chef PP until he's like worn out.
Have you not seen the subject of the video, dude? What did you think Bowser and Bowser Jr. gonna do? You know, be fucking dicks?
Okay, on top of having music around the same volume as your voice, you had to use a song with lyrics that would, and did, drown out your voice?
It's honestly a little too fitting since this song is from Sonic 06.
Here, let me help you check out!
So, is this the big one? Is this the one where everyone thought SML went downhill? Or is there an even worse one out there?
Bruh, I've already made one spoiler for you within the video. I don't think that the audience would appreciate you making another one for them.
Ted Bear, Cyanide, and Happiness.
Okay, I want to point out with the overall rate that you've made your camera angles of this list. For some weird reason, at one point within the video, the camera is off of the screen within the video, and we do see a reflection of you on the screen, which, by the way, hi there! Now, all of a sudden, the camera angle is actually perfectly aligned within the video, and the lighting is basically, well, good. Why not actually try to do the same thing with the other segments for perfectly aligned with the video without any glares? As much as we do discourage you for recording the videos via iPhone, you really should have done that throughout the video instead so it doesn't look unprofessional, per se.
Look it, I like Cyanide and Happiness, not as much as I liked it when I first got into it, but the show is still pretty funny. But this video, not so much. In fact, this video is just very boring and very stupid.
Okay, you said this video was bad because it's stupid and boring, and you said about number 5 as well? And if that's the case, why is it higher on this list? You also stated on how you still like Cyanide and Happiness, yet for SMG4, he's lower on the list because of the recent videos aren't good. Wouldn't SMG4 be the number 3 spot? Please help me!
Also, I personally think that this should have been lower towards the list. You basically said that you thought that this was boring, and yet out of your number 4 segment, you actually had a quote-unquote legitimate problems within the video, instead of it being boring. This is honestly a lazy way of placing your entries, if you ask me.
I mean, there's nothing to it. It doesn't feel like a Cyanide and Happiness short. It just feels like a Cyanide and Happiness movie to me. Because it's 4 minutes long. 4.5 minutes long. As no Cyanide and Happiness short has ever even come close to that.
You say that no other Cyanide and Happiness video comes close to this video in length, when that is wrong! 5, count them, 5 videos of similar and or longer length. The sequel to this video is 7 minutes, so if the length is an issue, why not put that one here instead?
Also, Cyanide and Happiness's video is 4.5 minutes long, and SMG4's video was 11. Why isn't SMG4 higher? And why isn't this video at number 1?
Did your attention span get worse in the span of 3 minutes?
Super Hatman 15 is out, hashtag exposed for being a pupper. Someone get the cameras!
Let me get Keemstar on the phone.
Can't wait to report your death!
This video is just as stupid as some retard smashing a vase on the ground and pasting it back together, going like, oh look, I fixed it. No, you're the one who broke it. You put the plant in there, the plant leaks through the hole like that one Brady Bunch episode when you try to water it. My point is, this video's bad. Give it a skip.
This is the equivalent of some jack-off smashing a vase and pasting it together like, look, I fixed it. No, you're the one who broke it. You put the plant in there, you water the plant, the water leaks through like that one Brady Bunch episode.
This is literally the second time that someone actually stolen something from Rebel Taxi. And from the same video, may I add. If this shit happens again, then I'm gonna fucking strangle somebody. Oh. Sorry.
Look what you did, MTR! You scared her! Go to the corner and think of what you did!
As someone who's actually in the Countdown community, I've seen people steal, borrow jokes from other popular YouTubers. But even in those cases, the context of the joke actually fit with what they were talking about. That's not the case here. It's like you saw a funny joke from Rebel Taxi and thought that randomly putting a slice of pizza here would work. And yes, this is the one scenario where pizza did not make something better.
Can I also argue that when Rebel Taxi was saying that with the characterization of Buttercup, he was saying why fix something when it's not really meant to be broken?
No, MTR! Back in the corner! You're grounded, remember?
Apples and oranges. Simile does not compute.
Mondo Media. The Happy Tree Friends series.
Alrighty, this segment shouldn't even be here because guess what? You're not subscribed to Mono Media. Yes, I checked, and it's not on your top 10 YouTubers list either. This is just an excuse to hate on a series. And did I mention series because it's not a single video going against your entire criteria?
Guys, there's no pulse. I think the video killed her.
Shit, I ain't taking the blame for this. Screw this. I'm out of here like Borg.
Well, fish sticks, anyone?
I'm not dead. I won't let this video best me.
Well, looks like Brooke is determined to finish this list. Get it? 'Cause it's Undertale? I'm sorry, I'll go to the corner if you want.
Good Lord. Where do I even begin? let's start the fact that these characters...
I'm gonna read this text here just in case if anybody is doing something within the background. The text here said, skip to number 1, which is at 8:45 of this video. Then it says, trust me, you don't want to see this. Ignoring the fact that you don't have an apostrophe on don't, what you could have actually done is to show this earlier, like during the transition instead of placing this here, or actually making a voiceover saying that this segment will have a bunch of gore, especially since some gore is going to come up a little bit right after the text faded out.
Even as someone who's completely desensitized to most violence in media, Happy Tree Friends still makes my stomach turn. So why not make the warning more obvious for people like me, or people who's even more sensitive to gore? Because of this, if you're actually squeamish of gore, even the cartoon kind, then we'll place this timestamp here for you guys to skip to his number 1 segment.
These characters can't talk. Okay, look, I don't hate shows like these, but does there have to be gross out humor?
Believe it or not, there is an audience for this kind of thing. It's not your cup of tea, that's fine, but this kind of humor is appealing to some people. What's wrong with characters that don't talk? Do you hate silent protagonists? Do you hate Link and Mario?
Dude, silent films, cartoons, and characters were a thing, and still are a thing in some cases. Ever heard of Fantasia? Or the old era cartoons like Mickey Mouse and independent films that are more artsy than having a lot of dialogue?
Finally, what does having no dialogue within the show have anything to do with the gore within Happy Tree Friends? These two really have nothing to do with each other, so it just kinda confuses me, to be honest here.
Here, let me help you check out!
Disturbing, and it's just nothing but gross out humor. You know what? I hate this show. So does Yoshi Player. I agree with him that this is Mondo's worst show ever made.
Please notice me, Yoshi Player Senpai, I only have 7 yen.
Also, what is bringing up this random YouTuber going to do, other than showing that you're a fan of another YouTuber? Especially since Yoshi Player has borrowed 1, or 2, or all of his opinions from Phantom Strider, who was probably inspired by someone else.
And I'm gonna admit... Goodness, the more I watch this show, the more disturbed I'm ever gonna get. Oh my god. You know what? I'm done. I'm done. Last entry, please.
You said you were done! Why shoehorn this random gore here? I thought you were the one who hated looking at this.
There, my bro. You'll survive. We're almost done. Wait, what's the timestamp? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Mother of God. We're doomed.
So you're telling me that the number 1 segment is about half of the length of your video. You really should have balanced it out with your other entries, especially since 4 entries are half of the video in length.
Oh, come on, guys. We made it this far. It can't be that bad.
Hey, guys. Where are we?
Kill Land.
What's Kill Land?
You'll know when you're older.
But I'm older than you.
But I had so much to live for.
Doesn't death mean nothing in commentaries anyway?
Don't worry, commentators are like comic book characters. We'll be back before you know it.
Well, I will be. This is my channel after all. You guys... I don't know about you guys. You are newbies after all. Watch out, this one's going to be long.
Lock my dick! Ow, ow, ow. Ow, 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 ow.
Going back to Chef Pee Quits Part 1, you must think that there was an even worse video than this. Well, considering that number 1 is another SML video, you are 100% correct. There is one video I hate more than Chef Pee Quits Part 1. And yet, it's a Bowser Jr. video. Oh, well, okay. When I first watched Chef Pee Quits Part 1, I'm like, oh, nothing can be bad than this. Nothing can be worse than this, right?
Please stop fondling the mic. It's not appropriate.
Mike-chan doesn't approve.
That's it. We are filing a restraining order.
Off the thumbnail, I knew this video was going to be the worst SML video I've ever seen. And yet this video is about Bowser Jr. Okay. What's worse than Chef Pee torture? In my opinion, Bowser Jr. torture, of course. And that's where this piece of crap comes by to ruin the year for SML. Oh my lord, I freaking loathe this video.
This is a cop-out. Again, this is literally the second time that the channel gets a spot within the overall video. I personally think that you should have half this rule of one video per channel, and you technically can't have two worse. Even on a practical level too, it just becomes samey. Finally, if this is considered to be the worst, then why is the 4th entry there if this is actually the worst video that was made by Super Mario Logan?
Also, wait a minute. How did you get a black screen in the thumbnail of the video you're talking about? In the beginning, the videos you play are recorded off a phone. Plus, I should definitely mention how there's no glare or anything on the video now, which is an improvement. But now we know you're able to do that.
There is no excuse for the previous bits of the video.
Why didn't you make the rest of the video look like this? Is there some minimum shit requirement that we're not aware of? Wait, are we falling short?
This horrible video starts off with Shappy cleaning Bowser's favorite cup, the Angry Birds. Okay, I don't blame Bowser for liking the Angry Birds, I love Angry Birds too. But then Junior just wants to play ball in the house, which is a big no-no. I don't know why I said that.
I don't know why you made this video.
He splashes his ball into the cereal or something like that. And Shappy just screams that he made a mess. Well, no one was going to eat it. It looks all soggy anyway, even without the ball in it. And then Junior gets mad because Chef Pee-Pee yells at him, and then this happens. He gets super mad and ticked off that Chef Pee-Pee yells at him, and then he just,
No, I don't know. What the hell am I supposed to know? Can you tell me? Please!
You haven't guessed it yet? Here it is. He throws a freaking ball at the freaking cup.
That text was really hard to read and only on screen for a second. If you want to make an interactive segment to your video, please make it readable and last long enough to be read.
I'm gonna go with D for D.
Actually, I picked E for Bernie Sanders. I'm a bi-bird after all.
Weren't you a pile of jelly earlier?
Oops. I purposely changed my avatar for no apparent reason, and will be stuck with it for the remainder of the commentary. This is what you get for telling everyone your true form.
Yes! Now we can make bird puns! Hey MTR! Does Polly want a cracker?
Does this mean I'm fish food?
You know what they say, a bird in the hand means two in the butt.
And then Chef Pee-Pee goes tell Bowser about what happened. And oh my god, Chef Pee-Pee is such a tattletale. Grow up, brah. And then once Chef Pee-Pee forces Junior to tell Bowser what he did, he just tries to lie himself out, but nope, it does not work.
Tell you something really important.
Oh god damn it! Another sponsor! Who is this volume company that you speak of? What do they sell?
They sell the ability to hear, otherwise known as dank memes.
What is it? Is food ready? No, it's not food. It tell him. I went potty all by myself.
Stop lying! No, Bowser, he did not go to the potty by himself. He barely even knows how to go to the potty. Look, he wanted to play Tom Brady in the house, so he threw the ball in the house and broke your favorite cup. Wait, you broke my favorite cup?
No, shit.
Why were you doing? Oh no! Let me throw.
Are you there, Super Hat Man? Are you dead?
I'm sorry for making bad jokes. And making me horny, you sick fuck.
Just wait. Ho, ho, ho! I got the good belt too.
No, Dad, it's not my fault. Somebody can't catch.
Nice technique with that belt.
Are we watching a countdown or a re-upload of SML?
Wait, this is still going?
I guess we're in this never-ending cycle of torture. The cycle of— oh wait, there he is!
What is my complaint with this video? Simple. What the crap is your problem, Bowser? You know accidents will happen now and then, especially when you have a freaking 6-year-old child.
Hey, Super Hat Man, can I share this concept called a joke? You don't need to be so serious about it, bruh.
That's our job.
Okay, let's move on. Then Junior starts to call the police just so they could arrest Bowser. Okay, that's a good idea. except that the police just lets him off with the warning. Then Goodman, the police's name, tells Bowser to just give him simple punishments instead of beating him. Then the rest of the video is so out of character for Junior. Both Junior and Bowser are both out of character in this so-called video.
You never explain what their characters are in the first place, so saying that they're out of character means nothing, especially when we don't watch the same things you do.
And what about these plushies being out of character makes this less of a video? Just because that they're not in character, that doesn't mean that this shouldn't be the definition of what a video should be. It just means that the video has horrible writing per se.
Okay, let's move on. Then he starts going all emo-like. You know, like those emo kids, like, you know, those goth kids from South Park, or... yeah, I don't know any others. Yeah, I can't think of any others. But anyway, the rest of the video is having, you know, Junior going all emo-like, like I just said. That's not what I like. I like Junior being happy and funny and just going like choo-choo and like screaming all the time. That I kind of find that funny.
Oh boy! Do you realize how entitled you sound? Wanting a character a specific way all the time from a creator is not only selfish, it prevents the creator from experimenting.
This just in, characters can only have one emotional response to a given situation. By the way, wouldn't it be even more out of character for Junior to be happy-go-lucky in this kind of situation?
Dude, the way you're using emo is not how you do it, but you use it so badly it makes me want to cut myself!
Sometimes goodbye is a second chance.
Junior screaming all the time, you know, like in the Happy Meals. Come on, okay, make another Happy Meal. That one was better. Sorry if I'm going to make you mad, Yoshi player, because I know you do not like that video. I apologize. Oh, speaking of Happy Meal, there is this one point where Bowser watches Charlie and Friends that looks exactly like the one we saw in Happy Meal. But then Junior just goes out of his mind and just feels like the world is just so endless. And this is where this happens.
Hi, Junior. We came to visit.
Oh no, not this again. Skip!
Actually, no, let's not. Because it's nothing else other than repetitive shit of him dragging the video out. Except for this one joke.
Has anyone even enjoyed this video? Are you dead serious?
Okay, honestly, that reflection that you made could have been so much better. I hate to say this, but it just sounds like as if you don't know as to how to act. I can kinda understand that since you're like, I don't know, 12 to 14 or something like that. I really don't know what your age is, so please tell me. But I would advise you to emote better than sounding like you half-assed it. And now we are finally done with the video. So guys, any final thoughts?
Despite us poking fun at you throughout the video, it was at the mistakes you made and not you yourself. I do want to give some constructive criticism. You know some of the basics when it comes to editing, but please learn how to edit on a computer and learn how to download videos. It'll make your content look so much better quality-wise, and please, please, please make friends with scripting and retakes. Your thoughts will be better organized and you won't have as many pauses and stutters. I'd also practice explaining with giving us context to your entries as well as why and how something does or does not work. Giving something a vague descriptor leaves your audience in the dark. It makes me thrilled that you want to put yourself out there and make content you want to make at a young age, and I really hope that this video doesn't turn you off from making more. You're young and I don't expect greatness from you right away, but if you do see this video, just know that if you take our advice to heart and practice, you will get better.
Okay, usually I'm not so serious with my final thoughts, but with the video I just watched, I feel like I need to do it. I understand you are young and editing is not very strong, but I highly recommend it on a computer. It's really best to download the videos and recording them on a phone, and editing on Movie Maker, and I know you're capable of that since you had a blank screen and a thumbnail in the video. Trust me, your editing will get better over time. Another thing is acting, audio balancing, dragging, and scripting, and not really think of what to put on your countdown list. I mean, if you have an entire series and 2 videos on the same channel when it's supposed to be 1 video from each channel, then that's an issue. Also, might I ask to go around to people who have good experience with countdowns and let them take a look at your scripts if you do start making those. That can definitely help you with your video. I hope you take me, Brooks, Renegades, and MTR's criticism and improve. I have faith in you.
Okay, to put it as nicely as possible, as an early attempt at making a countdown, this wasn't all that good. Since you're a fan of Rebel Taxi and Yoshi Player, I'm stunned that you're making a video with as many issues as seen here, despite them not suffering from any similar flaws. From what I can tell, you want to make more countdowns if your latest one is any indication, so I'd recommend getting a video downloader and to script the video to make future videos look and sound better. As well as try to make your own jokes. You might attract more people with what you can do than listing the people that you look up to. Finally, double check your stuff. Many times in the video, if hypothetically you looked at the original video a second or a third time, odds are you would have fixed most of the issues that we found in this commentary, possibly in the early editing phase. The problem isn't the fact that you're using an iPhone and Movie Maker, it's the fact that you aren't using any of your resources effectively. Take this for what it's worth and try to do better in a future video.
Look, considering the fact that you sounded like as if you're young and whatnot, let me just state here for the fact that we're not here to harass you in any way, shape, or form. Yes, we made a couple of pot shots on you, especially with the Mumbler Says What bit, but we are trying to give you some constructive criticism here, and that hopefully anyone who watches my videos wouldn't harass you in any way. But heading towards my overall point here, we're not here to bash on what you like or dislike. You have every right to hate on these certain videos that you've placed here within the video. However, the way in which case that you actually explain each section out is, well, ew. Not only that, but the entries should be more flourished, as numbers 5 to 3 on your list should be in another order, as well as how numbers 2 and 1 were cop-outs. In fact, to me personally, your number 2 entry was the worst offender of it being the cop-out, since not only was Happy Tree Friends a series and not a single video, but you are not subscribed to Mondo Media, and that Mondo Media was not in your top 10 YouTubers list. I definitely would suggest that you take some of the other rules into the account, i.e. one game per franchise, or with this one video per user, and that they cannot have repeats throughout the list.